In the name of the one who loves the beloved and love itself. Amen. Please be seated. It's wonderful to be here in Grace Cathedral again. I was a member of this diocese and have gone to another place. But I want to thank Bishop Mark for inviting me back to come and preach today. I remember being here 25 years ago on vacation from England and walking the labyrinth while I was doing some of my own vocational work and deciding what path I would take. And so this place is a place of prayer for me and has been all through my ministry. I was the rector at Transfiguration San Mateo when Mace started discerning their move forward into ordination. And so it's wonderful to be here with you. It's also been wonderful on Tuesday to come and be with Bishop Mark and with the ordinands, with Laura, with Stephen, with Mace, with Lisa, with Whitney. It was great to talk to you. Bishop Mark started reflecting on the idea of baptism, that baptism happens once in our lives, but then flows through our life, resonates, and touches all these other moments when we're called by God to do something. Today is another day that will resonate throughout your lives, touch every moment of your life. And in the wonderful way in which ecclesial time works, I think it's almost as though this moment of ordination might be like a stone being dropped in a pool and concentric circles heading out, forwards and somehow mystically backwards, to touch you in those earlier moments when you first thought about ordination and this path. And this ordination will travel with you into many human moments in the future when you will be with the people that you're called to serve. The readings for today are wonderful. I love them. And as is my wont, I wanted to have a visual aid, and so if you look under your pews, not everybody, just the candidates, you will find a gift there. This is my Oprah moment. You all get a lamb chop. You can hold it up and show people around you. An important part of my life is that I am the parent to a 3-year-old Australian Shepherd mix, so much of my life is spent at doggy daycare, picking up and dropping off, and also at pet stores. And I don't know if you know, but the gift of the moment for your pet is lamb chop. And it fits so well that when I was in a pet store this week, I thought I wanted to bring you all a lamb chop. Please care for lamb chop more than my Australian Shepherd might. Her behavior with her toys is not a model for clergy, I would say. But all our readings are about the Good Shepherd. In that first prophetic reading, we have the idea of God as the Good Shepherd. God is the one who will shepherd us. God will seek us when we are lost. God will fetch us when we have strayed. God will bind up our wounds and be with us. God is the Good Shepherd, and any way in which we are invited to be shepherds is delegated to us, is shared with us from the divine. In Psalm 23, we again hear about God the Good Shepherd being with us, guiding and keeping us. We also begin to see that sometimes there will be valleys of the shadow of death. There will be tables in the presence of our enemies. This path that you're heading onto will not all be plain sailing. There'll be challenging moments, but his rod and his staff will be there to comfort us, and we will know joy at that meal. Then in 1 Peter, we have a very clear idea of the role of the Good Shepherd being delegated to human ministers. And there is both promise and challenge in that text. Do so wholeheartedly, don't do so for just financial gain, Don't just do it for the money. Do it with all your heart and enthusiasm. Mean it. And then at the end, the true shepherd will come and give you a crown of righteousness. That's a very linear way of looking at time. Do a good job and they will get a reward at the end. Although we were reminded in some of our reflections when we talked on Tuesday that the crown, the corona, the circle, reminds us of the circle of time. And perhaps rather than at the end of time receiving the gift of the crown, it is in the moment of exercising your responsibility with integrity that you will feel the reward, the gift of what it is you're called to do. And then we come to the gospel. When Jesus asks Peter to feed or to care for his sheep. And it's an electric text. It's remarkable. This is a resurrection appearance. Jesus has made breakfast for his disciples by the Sea of Galilee. They come ashore. He sees Peter. I don't think Peter could probably match his eye at first. The memory for both of them was perhaps that night when Jesus was tried and Peter denied him, said he didn't know him, he had nothing to do with him. And I wonder if Jesus overheard that night. And I can't blame Peter. He was facing something overwhelming and unexpected, protecting himself. But there must have been a break in that relationship. And so Jesus stands before Peter and says to him, "Do you love me 3 times?" Peter responds, "Yes, I do love you 3 times." Jesus says, "Feed my sheep." Except that's not what they say. We asked Bishop Mark to read for us the text in the Greek at our time together this week. And we recognize that we don't have enough words for love in English to do this text justice. There are 2 words for love used in this text. There is the word phileo and the word agape. And in our conversation, we teased out the meaning of these words. Phileo means the kind of love that builds up over time between friends. You can become friends and you can love someone in a meaningful way. Agape, we talked about a number of definitions, but I'm grateful to Bishop Mark for sharing his. Sometimes it's called sacrificial love. Sometimes it's called unconditional love. We spoke of it as overflowing love. Overflowing love. So let me tell you that story with some slight adaptations to try and make sense of this text. Jesus made breakfast for the disciples, and Peter came up to him from fishing. They ate. I don't think that they matched each other's eyes, though I think Jesus was longing to speak to Peter. And after breakfast, he goes to him and says, "Simon Peter, do you love me with an overflowing love more than all of these?" Maybe pulling his leg amongst the other disciples, smiling at him. And Peter says, "Yes, Lord, you know that I'm your friend." Jesus pauses and then says, "Simon Peter, do you love me with an overflowing love?" And Simon Peter responds, "Lord, you know I'm your friend." And then Jesus pauses again, looks at him and says, "Simon Peter, are you my friend?" And Peter's angry that the 3rd time Jesus said, "Are you my friend?" And says, "Lord, you know everything. You know I'm your friend." And each time Jesus asks that question and Simon Peter responds, Jesus ends his little conversation by saying, "Feed my sheep." Do you love me? I'm your friend. Feed my sheep. Do you love me? I'm your friend. Feed my sheep. Are you my friend? Yes, I am your friend. Feed my sheep. This is a really complicated human moment in which Jesus is asking for one thing and Simon Peter is offering something else. Jesus is asking for overflowing, overwhelming love. And Simon Peter can only offer friendship. But I love the fact that Jesus says, "Feed my sheep," at the end of each exchange. Even when there's that moment of questioning and of wondering how authentic Simon Peter is. And I think what Jesus gets from him is that he really is his friend. He's built that relationship over 3 years. And friendship isn't nothing. It's something. And it's all Simon Peter can offer at that moment. And Jesus says, I can use that. I can work with that. And I think he might have been thinking that Simon Peter was going to discover overwhelming love as he stepped into the task of feeding the sheep. But it was going to take time. In our conversation on Tuesday, I picked up from some of you some personal and some communal, complex human moments that you'd been through. Finding your own sense of direction in life, finding your way through ordination, this whole process. Having conversations with parishioners that are tender and difficult, pastoral exchanges that are complex. And here's one model that we sometimes think of for the clergy. Again, Bishop Mark, I'm borrowing one of yours. It's like we're mechanics trained to fix a broken engine. That we go in with all the expertise of seminary and we have this broken community and broken engine before us and we just have to apply the right information and knowledge and then it will be fixed and that's great. Except we recognize that that wasn't really an appropriate or robust picture of the ministry. Instead, we talked about the fact that you as clergy will be entering into a system where there are other people, you and the people that you are there to shepherd, to care for, and that they are hoping to heal, and that you are too. That your baptism, which happened many years ago, is still flowing and working through your vocation. That this moment of ordination, that for years to come you're still discovering exactly what it means. And that you are not the one sent to fix the people that are broken, but you're there to be in community with each other. And that your particular calling is to be healing whilst others around you are healing as well. So I invite you, ordinands, to recognize that there will be complex human moments before you in ministry. And to recognize that in this moment, as you offer yourself for the prayers that will be said, that you're doing so with everything I know you have to offer. And that God will fill that with God's grace. And I ask you, congregation members, don't project some kind of inhumanity on the clergy. Expect them to be human beings healing and growing and learning from this grace, this moment of ordination. And invite them to heal alongside you as you seek to be healed as well. We do believe in the overflowing love of God. And we believe that whatever vessel we're able to offer in our own lives can be filled with that love of God. And that even if you don't have all the resources necessary to care for those around you, that your friendship, your commitment, your training, your vocation, your offering of yourself in this moment, it will be filled by God's overflowing love. I pray that it might be so. Amen.